All right, has been a while. I wasn't together with you in our holy group, but was very busy trying to change the world. Of course, that's what we're here to change the world. So I'm here to answer the questions of the Kabbalah quiz that I put on our group, and obviously this is to encourage more and more questions, and we probably won't have time to answer all the questions today. There are more than 45 questions, so let's start with the beginning without waiting. So the first question is, what does the word Kabbalah mean? So Kabbalah comes from the word kibel, the root of the word kibel, and the word kibel means accepting from another. When you receive something, you accept from another. And interestingly, also that word, according to Rabbi Hirsch, on his book to Jewish excellent book, Bible Hebrew Etymological Dictionary, he brings also that it means being opposite or paralleling. So, and also to be in front of. Those are the three main things. So, interesting, you receive, but at the same time, you're opposite. And that's, I think, something very fascinating, because the secret of Kabbalah means that you are in a relationship with God. And the highest level of relationship with God is when you're God's opposite. What's the point of receiving someone who is like you? If you receive from someone you're like you, okay, it's nice, but it's not the greatest gift, really. It is, we always, our soul, we're made in a way that receiving from someone completely different makes the biggest impact. And that's one of the reasons why the ultimate union is male and female, two opposites. Our ultimate relation with God is supposed to be male-female, one giver, one receiver, and male-female power, and we receive spiritual, physical. They are two opposites, and that's why a giving, a receiving is necessary, because the spiritual can only give to the physical, and the physical can only give the spiritual. The physical, right? It's meaning it's only the physical cannot give spiritual to the spiritual, and the spiritual cannot give physical to the physical. So it, in its way, it has to give its own thing, its own source, and then give to the opposite, and that's the beauty. So that's the word Kabbalah means, to receive, and the reason it's called to receive is because it's something you have to accept. It's a gift. If you want to learn Kabbalah, if you want to become spiritual, if you want to connect, you have to be like a pauper, so to speak. And that's one of the big meditation thing, prayer, it's called Tfilas Leoni, the prayer of the poor, that we're all poor. We all poor on this world, and we all, since you're born, you're poor. You needed your mommy to feed you and to give you clothes and to keep you warm and to protect you, right? And it's the same thing. From birth till you die, God is completely giving you, and we don't see necessarily the spiritual. The physical is very obvious, and we think it's from people, but even the physical is from God. So we're constantly praying every day and saying, God, please give me what I need, because without you I cannot make it. But on the spiritual level, we need to ask God to give us what we need to be successful spiritually, and to give us the tool to connect to Him. And that's why meditation, it's like we have to let go completely of any ego of I am a giver. No, you have the I am a receiver. I'm the female power. I'm the container. I am I'm poor. I'm ready. I'm humble, and I'm ready to receive. So that's if you want to become a real Kabbalist or receive information from the spiritual world, that's what you have to transform yourself into a receiver. Now, I basically answered the second question too, because it goes together. How does one receive? So you receive by becoming a container and becoming really, really humble. Humble is the biggest trait, and you have to really work on it. One of the best books is the Mesilas Yesharim, The Path of the Just, will teach you how to reach that. There are many other books, but this one is one of my favorite, and it has a whole chapter on it, and it will teach you how to become a receiver. But mostly meditation, humility, and character traits in general. The more you refine your character traits, the more you're allowing the spiritual flow to go into you, because your character trait is what blocks the soul from giving to the body. So the more you refine your character traits, the more your physicality and your spiritual evil, so to speak, the evil trait that are in you, that are put as on purpose, so that you don't receive directly without any work without any work and refinement. You need to earn it and to get reward, and you can receive it. Now, that's answer to question 2. Question 2. Number 3. What are the 3 things that makes you become a vessel? So this is basically actually secret of Teshuvah, and is the secret of what it says in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, that it says at Shlosha Dvarim Haolam Omed al Torah ve'al Avodah ve'gmilus Chasadim. The world stands on 3 things. If you want to refine yourself, you need, and to become a vessel, you need Torah, which includes doing the mitzvot, doing the commandments, right? For the Jew it's 613, for the non-Jew will be 7. So that refines you. It teaches you how to refine, not just to make something and all of a sudden you become refined. It has a spiritual impact, but you need, if you want really to be purified and refined through the mitzvahs, you need to work at it and understand them, the system, what it's here to do, how it leads you to be transformed. So that's by learning Torah and doing the mitzvot. That's number 1. Number 2 is by praying. When you pray, you are refining, you're connecting yourself and transforming, like we just explained, into a vessel who understand we are receivers, we are female power, God is the male power. That's why we usually call him by male as a male, although he's also sometimes as female, but it's just for us to understand that he is the main source of all giving and we are the receiver. And so by praying we can achieve that understanding, connection, and transform ourselves into a vessel. And number 3 is refining our character traits. By working on your character traits, our commandments, 613 commandments, helps us also refine our character traits. So those 3 things are the main things that that's the foundation for the world to stand. We're here to receive from God. If we don't have those 3 foundations, we are not able to receive from God, and the world gets destroyed. Because the world becomes itself into selfishness, into takers, and that's why God had to destroy the flood. Interesting, he had to destroy it. Why? Because there was Hamas, he said they were stealing from each other. It was connected to sexuality, but basically it was taking from the other, wanting pleasure from oneself is the ego. So if the world takes itself into a male force to that wants to just take, or the negative part of the female which wants to take for itself, not just in order to give back, then we destroy our world. So you have to be a giver like a man who just wants to give because it's chesed, just want to give out of love, or a woman who just gives back from what it receives. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, question 4: how do these refine us? How do these 3 things refine us? Well, very simple. The character traits, right? There's 3 levels. There's the man to human being, and human being to Jew. If one has a Jewish soul and is a Jewish mission, they need to go to a higher level. I would say not a high level, but a different level. There's a level of a mission that is greater than the mission of the non-Jew. More responsibility, at least. Doesn't make one better than the other. It's just greater responsibility. So when we go from man to animal to man, which is responsible for everyone, that's through the character traits refinement. The character refinement just transform it, like I explained before. It takes our physicality and takes away the barrier between the spiritual and physical, our soul and the body and the spiritual world, and we're able to be transformed. We become human. The mitzvot and the Torah that we learn, they help us go from human to spiritual. They transform us. Our flesh transforms itself into something spiritual. That's why they say that if one achieves the level of Eliyahu Navi, then he can go with his body into heaven, because the Torah mitzvot has transformed his physicality into spirituality. Just the same concept as a Torah scroll. Before, it was part of the skin of a cow. A cow poops, goes to the bathroom, eats, right? That's a cow. And these we take and we make a Sefer Torah, a book of Torah. I believe that's where the expression holy cow comes from. You take a cow and you make it a parchment out of it, and a Torah scroll, Bible scroll, and now it's the holiest thing on earth because God's name on it. So that's the Torah and the mitzvot that we learn do that, and our prayer also transforms us. It's a meditation process. It uses our consciousness and expand our consciousness, transform our reality, and we become connected to the divine. So those three things: character traits, Torah and learning and the commandments, and the prayer, are the three things that transforms us. But as we do it, it changes us. It changes our DNA. It changes our nature. It changes our physicality. It changes our emotions. It changes our consciousness, and we're able to become a vessel, a pure vessel. Next one, and we'll finish with that one for today, is what does Tzelem Elohim means? Tzelem Elohim comes from the beginning of creation, Bereshit. When God said that he will make man, he say, I'm going to make man in my image, Tzelem Elohim. So a lot of people misunderstand what that means. In God's image. First of all, God doesn't have an image. The idea is, Tzelem Elohim, is that God makes man in the form. Tzelem is more like of a shadow, like a cell, right? So it's more of a shadow in the shadow of resemblance of Elohim. What's Elohim? Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'haaretz. God is described as Elohim, although it's not the highest name. The highest name is Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? So why Elohim? Elohim is the God of powers, the name that is used to create heaven and earth. So we are made in the image, in the resemblance, in the shadow of the powers necessary to make heaven and earth. That means that who we are, we are superheroes, so to speak. We're mini gods, Elohim. And actually the Sforno says something very interesting. Say that technically we should be called Elohim. We should be called Elohim, but or Elohim, actually, because here we're speaking about man, not about God. Judges are also called Elohim, because Elohim means the power to judge something, to take decisions, and to make things together, spiritual, physical, heaven and earth. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. It's connected to bara, which is the level of Bria, the level of creation, and it means that we have the power to create. How? Baruch she'amar v'haya olam. With the power of speech, we are able to use the DNA of creation, which is the 22 letters of the alphabet connected to the 10 digits, which connected us to the 10 sfirot. For those who are advanced will understand. And we have 32 paths of wisdom through 22 letters and the 10 spheros. And this is the combination that enables the world to exist. So, the world exists because God made it that way, and God wants us to be our own little God, meaning our own little creators. Just like God made heaven and earth with the powers of Elohim, right? The Elohim, let us remember, is the power that exists within creation. The word Elohim is has the gematria numerical value of 86, which is the same as Teva, and the meaning of that is that we have to those powers exist within creation. This is within creation, meaning we have the power to affect, to change the world, to destroy the world, and to create more worlds, physical and spiritual, in the same way that we create the world. That's why understanding how God created the world helps us understand how we can create our own world, how we can affect the whole world. And the more we understand God's powers, the more we understand our powers. So the whole goal, obviously, is to understand that every one of our powers, even though we call Elohim and we're called little God, so to speak, we are nothing without God. Meaning all that power comes from God. Elohim actually is not the source. It's like you say, oh, I'm God, I'm the source of myself. That was Paro, that was Avodah Zarah, idolatry. What we're saying is that Elohim is the powers that come from the root, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of God, the Shem Havaya, and we are taking the power from the source that God gives us and trust us, and we try to transform the world, shape the world, create the world, destroy the world, or destroy the evil, and with mostly through the speech, the power of speech that has the 22 vibrations of, or 27 vibrations of the Hebrew alphabet. May we all be able to understand what that means, the responsibility that we have, that we ourselves are called a little world. We can destroy people's life, or we can fix and build people's life. And that's the greatness of us being called Tzelem Elohim. We don't realize how powerful that is. So may we all be able to realize our power, to transform ourselves, to refine ourselves, to become vessels, so that we can transcend ourselves and elevate the world with us and fulfill the purpose of creation, which is to be one with God by using our divine given powers, gifts from the source, and this way we'll have no more suffering in the world, and we will bring the Geula Shlema, the final redemption, very, very quick if we're aware of that and do transform ourselves into real vessels. God is just waiting for us to transform into the ultimate vessel. The world is changing, our consciousness are changing. The more we're going to transform our head, ourselves into vessels ready to receive. And that's why Kabbalah is so big today, because today we need to become receivers. God just wants to give us, and we have to open our hand and say, I'm receiving. Before that, you need humility, you need purification. You have to understand it's all from God. You have to understand it's a gift. You have to understand it's the Torah source. And if we do that, then we'll have the best ever experience that we are actually wishing every day of our life, to be happy and to be in love, to be one with God.